You know the story. It's haunted our screens and our imaginations for more than 200 years. A tale of creation, ambition, and, of course, some pretty horrifying consequences. But how much do we really know about Frankenstein? Well, let's unpack the legend behind the monster.
Okay, you see this face, and one name just immediately pops into your head: Frankenstein. But what if I told you that's not his name? Not even close. Yeah, we've been getting the most basic fact about one of the most famous monsters in history wrong for generations.
That's right, Frankenstein isn't the monster, he's the guy who made the monster. Dr. Victor Frankenstein is the brilliant, maybe a little too ambitious scientist. In his creation, well, the poor guy doesn't even get a name in the whole book. He's just the creature.
Which, brings up a really good question. With all the amazing modern books out there, why do so many schools keep going back to this 200-year-old horror story? What is it about this book that makes it required reading for 8th graders year after year? To get to the bottom of this, we actually managed to get our hands on the Grade 8 Teacher Guide from the Core Knowledge Foundation. And what's inside is pretty amazing. It shows exactly why this story is so much more than just a simple monster tale. All right, so first things first. To really get this book, you have to know its origin story. And trust me, it's almost as famous as the novel itself. And it all starts with a teenager. 18. That's how old Mary Shelley was when she started writing this iconic masterpiece. Just let that sink in for a second. An 18-year-old came up with a story that would literally define a genre and terrify people for centuries. So picture this, it's 1816. Mary Shelley is hanging out in Geneva with some literary rock stars like Lord Byron. A huge storm traps them all inside, and to pass the time, they decide to have a ghost story contest. Well, that contest sparked a waking nightmare for Shelley, where she saw this hideous phantasm of a man coming to life. And just 2 years later, that nightmare was published as Frankenstein. Incredible. So how do teachers take this old Gothic tale and make it relevant for today's students? Well, the guide shows us that the book is basically treated like a complete toolkit, a way to teach kids about literature, science, and even a little bit about themselves. So on the first layer, you've got these huge universal ideas. Teachers use the story to explore some really big questions. Things like the dangers of science going too far, that feeling of being an outsider that everyone can relate to, the classic battle between humanity and nature, and of course the big one, what happens when we try to play God? But the lessons go way deeper than just the plot. According to this teacher's guide, the novel is also a total masterclass in writing. So it's not just about the big ideas in the story, but the actual craft Shelley used to tell it. For instance, students learn about literary devices like dramatic irony. You know that feeling when you're watching a movie and you know the killer is hiding in the closet, but the person on screen has no idea? That's dramatic irony. Shelley uses it all the time in Frankenstein to create that nail-biting suspense. And here's one of the most brilliant parts of the book, how it plays with perspective. Shelley flips the narration between Victor and his creature. So while Victor just sees this hideous monster but he's terrified of, we also get to see the creature side, a lonely, tragic figure who just wants to be loved. It forces students to look at both sides and see how complex these characters really are. But believe it or not, the lessons don't even stop there. According to the teacher's guide, the educational value of Frankenstein is baked right into the very words on the page. This is just fascinating. The guide has lessons where students literally dissect the words Shelley uses to learn Greek and Latin roots that are totally central to the story's themes, like anthropos for human, which makes you ask who the real human is, or skio, to know, which is the root of science, and solus for alone, which perfectly describes the creature's entire existence. It's like a literature, history, and language lesson all rolled into one. Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of it all. To truly understand why this book has stuck around for so long, we have to look at its full title and the ancient myth it's based on. Most of us just know the first part, right? Frankenstein. But that subtitle is the key that unlocks everything, or the modern Prometheus. This one phrase gives us the whole moral and philosophical core of the story. So here's the connection. In Greek mythology, the Titan Prometheus stole fire, which was like a symbol for knowledge and power, from the gods, and he gave it to humanity. And for this incredible ambition, he was punished for eternity. Well, Victor Frankenstein does the exact same thing. He uses the fire of modern science to create life, and he too is punished, not by the gods, but by the very thing he brought into the world.
And that is why this book is still taught today. It's not just some spooky story to pull out around Halloween. It's a deep, timeless warning about what can happen when our ambition goes unchecked and what our responsibilities are to the things that we create.
The novel leaves us with a question that's probably even more relevant today than it was 200 years ago. I mean, think about it. From AI to genetic engineering, we are constantly creating new things that could change the world. And Mary Shelley's classic leaves us all with one haunting question to think about. What is our responsibility to the things we create?